And the Indiana Fever have pulled off the upset, the 6th seed, beating Vegas 89-73 to take game.
Okay, seriously, nobody gave the Indiana Fever a chance. ESPN analysts flat out dismissed them. Odds makers were practically laughing. Even the two-time champions, the Las Vegas Aces, were expecting a clean sweep. But then, on the Aces' home court, on the very night their superstar Aya Wilson was crowned MVP, the Fever shocked everyone by stealing Game 1. So, how did a team missing 6 players completely flip the script with just a single win? And here's the kicker. What did Caitlin Clark say to her teammates after the game that has the entire league buzzing? Stick around, because this wasn't just some random upset. It was a seismic statement. If you're as fired up for the Fever as we are, drop a fire of this incredible team. So what actually happens when a team rolls into the playoffs missing 6 key players, with 0 analysts giving them any chance and the two-time reigning champions waiting to pounce? What you get is the ultimate test of belief for the Indiana Fever, a night that was supposed to be someone else's coronation, but against all odds transformed into their unforgettable moment.
Particular matchup, Aces Fever Game 1. We're not deciding the whole series right now, just Game 1.
Should we do it together?
I think we should do it together.
Okay.
Because my spidey sensors are telling me they might be the same. 3, 2, 1.
Aces.
They're not going to lose after she just won MVP.
Yeah, period.
From the start, everyone painted the series as a complete mismatch, right? ESPN panels basically called it short and predictable. While sportsbooks had odds so insanely lopsided it was easier to bet on the Aces' margin of victory than on Indiana pulling off a series upset. Even the headlines before tip-off made it clear they were about survival, not winning. The Aces were expected to cruise to another finals, and the unspoken message was obvious. If Indiana managed to avoid total humiliation, that alone would count as success.
Indiana Fever had no business winning a playoff series this year, had no business advancing to the semifinals for the first time in a decade, and yet here they are, eliminating the Atlanta Dream in Atlanta without Caitlin Clark, without Sophie Cunningham, without Sid Colson, without Erin McDonald, without Chloe Bibby. The hospital squad is on the bench, and yet the Indiana Fever are into the semifinals of the WNBA play.
And if that wasn't enough, then came the injury report. A brutal list featuring Caitlin Clark sidelined, Sophie Cunningham out, plus Sydney Colson, Kayla Beebe, Ari McDonald, and Damaris Dantas. 6 players gone. The Fever didn't just look shorthanded. They looked like a team held together with duct tape. This went far beyond being underdogs. People were...
And then the coaching of Stephanie White. She is working with a 9-woman rotation, and 5 of those players did not even touch the court the last time the Fever played the Dream during the regular season, and 3 of those players weren't even on the team. I cannot say it enough. The Indiana Fever should not be here. They continue to be here. They battle. They're resilient. It's wildly impressive. Caitlin Clark wore the black Air Force Ones again. They had one of those forces lifted in the air like a beacon of hope, and now they'll face the...
Just picture the scene in Las Vegas before tip-off. Championship banners hanging high, the crowd buzzing, ready for celebration. And then the main event, Aya Wilson at center court being honored with her MVP trophy. This wasn't just about recognizing her brilliance. It symbolized the narrative everyone expected. Vegas was the unstoppable powerhouse, and Indiana was reduced to a...
You actually just referenced it twice. It is Indiana. Dropped 2 of the 3 games to them this year, but you haven't seen them since late July. What excites you about that matchup?
That they haven't seen the releases yet. They caught us when we were at a bit in turmoil. Not only that, they whooped us one of those stretches. So, you know what? We'll buckle in, hone in where we can, and take care of business.
But here's the thing about sports. They have this incredible way of flipping the script exactly when expectations seem set in stone. Think about all those legendary underdog runs in history. Teams written off before they even stepped onto the floor. Squads that nobody thought belonged in the same arena. You could feel those same parallels brewing here. This wasn't just the start of a playoff series. For Indiana, Game 1 was their chance, their only chance, to grab a seat at the table and declare they were ready to fight. And by the final buzzer, the entire pre-written script was torn apart. The spotlight on Aya Wilson's MVP moment dimmed because the Fever had completely stolen it, walking out of Vegas with an 89-73 win. Their first semi-final victory in nearly a decade, leaving the basketball world stunned. But the biggest shock didn't come from the team as a whole. It came from one player who turned the night into her own masterpiece.
Respect everyone, fear no one. Sounds in the chat.
That's one.
While everyone's eyes were locked on Aya Wilson raising that MVP trophy, nobody, and I mean nobody, expected Kelsey Mitchell to storm in and rewrite the entire story. It was supposed to be Wilson's night, the defending champions taking care of business at home. The script was already written before tip-off, but Mitchell refused to let Indiana be just a footnote. She transformed that semi-final opener into her personal showcase. By the final buzzer, the entire conversation across the league had shifted.
First semifinal appearance, just what's your emotional state right now?
Normal, I think. It's practice. Trying to prepare like anybody else would, like any other day. But keep the main thing. So
Kelsey Mitchell has always been respected as an elite scorer, no question. But let's be real, she's often treated as an afterthought behind the flashier names in the WNBA. Heading into this series, all the talk was about Aya Wilson's dominance or whether Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray would overwhelm the Fever, or if Indiana could even stay competitive. Almost nobody mentioned Mitchell as the one who could redefine the matchup. Yet, as she's done her whole career, she let her game speak louder than any narrative, delivering the perfect response to all the doubt.
Around her.
Tell your younger self.
yeah.
How would you explain to her to make sure that you give yourself grace and give you the flowers that you so willingly deserve?
Ooh, I think the best thing I could have done was, I had a long list. I wrote down a list of all the times I could have quit, been a pro, playing with the Indiana Fever. I wrote down all the people that wrote me off. I wrote it down on a list. I wrote down all the coaches that didn't want me around. I wrote down all the media outlets that didn't want to talk to me. I think that within itself is like, you gotta tell your younger self not to give up on you, because there's been a lot of times I could have given up when I know a lot of people that talk to me now weren't talking to me, and I know what it was like when they wasn't. So that part is big for me.
Mitchell didn't just score, she scored in every way imaginable. She hit mid-range pull-ups with defenders draped all over her, fought through screens, and drilled deep threes whenever the aces gave her even a sliver of space. And get this, she nailed every single free throw, finishing a flawless 6 for 6 from the line. Inside, outside, and everywhere in between, she was untouchable. By the end, she had piled up a staggering 34 points on 12, 23 shooting, including 4 for 6 from beyond the arc, plus perfection at the stripe. It wasn't just efficient, it was relentless.
That time, keeping the pivot foot alive and going strong side for Wilson.
Mitchell this time finds a lane to the basket. Inside to Turner. Nice look from Mitchell, which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple of...
That 34-point explosion wasn't just a great game for Mitchell. It was historic. No Fever player had scored over 30 in a playoff game since 2012. And no one in WNBA history had ever dropped that many in their very first semifinal appearance. Mitchell's performance now sits alongside legends like Lauren Jackson and Cynthia Cooper, but it goes one step further. She shattered their mark. Think about it. In her postseason debut at this level against the reigning champions, on the night of an MVP celebration, she carved her name into the record books.
Who's done that? 5-point advantage for Indy. Trying to go inside. Terrific defense by Mitchell to deny Lloyd. It's Mitchell, guarded by Evans. Screen from Turner. Kelsey Mitchell knocks down another shot.
No one is accountable for Hall.
It's Mitchell. Come on.
And you know what?
And you know what? Even from the sidelines, Caitlin Clark felt the weight of that performance. Unable to play due to injury, she had a simple but powerful reaction. Just 2 words on social media. Kelsey, unreal. No long speech, no overthinking. Just pure respect from the sophomore phenom to the veteran who carried her team when it mattered most. It was a clear, undeniable reminder of how much Mitchell means to this squad and how deeply her teammates recognize her impact.
So who's going to step up, and how can the Aces find an edge?
Another good cut to the basket, this time by Turner.
The Las Vegas Aces are running out of time because the Indiana Fever making passes with... That's right.
Boston. Triple team, kicks it out. Kelsey Mitchell.
Even Aces head coach, Becky Hammon, who is definitely not someone to hand out compliments lightly, had to admit post-game that they simply had no answer for Mitchell. That acknowledgement alone underscored how completely she took over virtually every single possession that night. This wasn't luck. It wasn't some random fluke.
But you can start on the defensive end. I mean, clearly we had no answer for Mitchell. Couldn't even attempt to slow her down a little bit. I thought it was really poor. Really.
The symbolism here couldn't have been louder, could it? On the exact same floor where Aya Wilson was being crowned as the league's MVP, Kelsey Mitchell was powerfully staking her own claim, almost as if she was saying, hey, we've got a most valuable player too. And she's rocking Fever red, blue, and yellow. A career night? Absolutely. But even more than that, her 34 points represented Indiana's sheer defiance, their outright refusal to accept a supporting role in this story. The Fever didn't just win because of Mitchell's incredible outburst. They actually found their identity through it. And that identity didn't end with just one score. The real heartbeat of this upset came from the whole roster, with suffocating defense, relentless hustle, and incredible depth combining to completely frustrate the champions from every angle. Everyone expected Las Vegas to own the paint, to bully the Fever inside with their size, strength, and that MVP presence. But instead, Indiana flipped the script, making defense and tempo their weapons, dominating in the one area almost nobody thought they could possibly win. What unfolded wasn't just resistance. It looked like a literal blueprint for how to break down the defending champion.
Lexi Hull had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. Great start for Leah Boston.
Definitely the best slasher.
Boston and Wilson, 2 former South Carolina players. Asia can't find the bottom of the net.
5'11". Odyssey sending Kelsey Mitchell 5'8".
Boston up, under, and in.
Really having her battle.
Asia.
At the absolute center of all this was Aaliyah Boston and her assignment. Oh man, it was easily one of the toughest you could imagine. Guarding Aya Wilson, who had just been named MVP. Wilson thrives in the post, stretches defenders thin, and attacks relentlessly, right? Most players would probably shrink at that matchup, but Boston absolutely didn't. From the very first possession, her focus was pure disruption, not just trying to go shot for shot with Wilson. Her approach was brilliantly simple: make Wilson uncomfortable. If she could push her off her usual sweet spots, contest every single catch, and force her to reset. Indiana knew they could tilt that battle in their favor.
Who's effort than us? So that's got to change this second half.
Coach, you're shooting under 40 from the field, about 7.
Get about it.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Hammond. And let's go over now to Angel Gray. Courageous. Spins, counters, doesn't get the bounce.
I am just so impressed.
Wow, Boston just faked Wilson out of...
And get this, it totally worked. Wilson still put up 16 points and 13 rebounds. Numbers that on the surface look perfectly fine. But the real story was her rhythm. She had to absolutely grind for every single bucket, settling for shots that lacked her usual effortless flow, and often working deep into the shot clock. That constant nagging irritation completely slowed the Aces' offense, chipping away at the confidence of a team that typically thrives when Wilson dictates everything. Boston didn't completely erase the MVP. No, but she did something almost as impressive. She made her look human. And honestly, that alone is a monumental achievement.
Lexi Hull had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. A great start for Leah Boston.
Beyond Boston's incredible performance, Indiana desperately needed its wings to step up, and Lexi Hull absolutely answered the call. She drew Jackie Young, easily one of the toughest covers in the league, and she shadowed her on every single cut, battled through screens like a warrior, and flat out refused to bite on any fakes. Young simply never found the space she usually thrives on, and by the end of the game, her impact...
First 5 minutes. 1 shot. Rebound. Stay high, stay high, stay high. We're good, we're good, we're good. Good job, Kels.
Okay, we keep playing great defense. Just stay on the ground.
Yeah. Switch, switch, switch.
Few minutes to go in the quarter. Hull left open for 3, and she hits it. Much needed. Odyssey. Thought about it, but...
And get this, the Fever also had Odyssey Sims attacking with absolute fire on every single possession. She was fearless, taking the ball straight at Vegas defenders, splitting lanes, and forcing the Aces into foul trouble left and right. Her relentless drives completely changed the tempo of the game. Instead of Indiana playing slow and cautious, the pace dramatically sped up, and suddenly Vegas, usually the team dictating everything, looked like the one possession after possession.
Good anticipation there by Brianna Turner. She's been on a couple WNBA all defensive teams, and she has really been key for them on that end of the floor in these playoffs.
Sims, yet again.
That's a tough matchup.
Which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that, and a couple in the regular season in Asia. And the entire league.
They gave her just that space, and wow, did she take it. Natasha Howard was absolutely steady all night long, recording yet another crucial double-double. She was incredibly active on the glass, consistently boxing out to create those vital second chances for Indiana, and fiercely protecting the lane on the defensive end.
Uses her strength, her athleticism. There were 3 or 4 Seattle players right there, but Jackie Young made the game winner.
Fade away from Natasha Howard. Going to the ball on the block. Now the shot clock is winding down. Young doing a good job keeping Kelsey Mitchell away from the basket. But
Brianna Turner might not have completely filled up the box score, but her presence was absolutely unmistakable. She was altering shots with her incredible length, walling up drivers, and making the paint a place the Aces couldn't just casually own. By the numbers, Indiana completely outscored Las Vegas 50-38 in the paint, flipping what everyone thought was supposed to be a massive disadvantage into one of their greatest and most surprising strengths.
Great. Driving, taking the shot. Stop.
When that game finally ended, even Aces coach Becky Hammond had to admit what was clear to everyone watching. Indiana utterly dominated the categories that mattered most. pace, defense, and sheer urgency. That frank acknowledgement alone told the entire story. This wasn't some lucky break or random hot shooting night. No, this was a team making a powerful statement, establishing exactly how they could compete, frustrate, and actually win again. Now, the critical question becomes whether the Fever can deploy that same defensive blueprint in Game 2 and keep the Aces from making crucial adjustments. One game down, but here's the reality check. In a best-of-5 series, history shows 28% of teams who drop Game 1 still manage to come back and win the entire series. The Aces know this, their fans know this, and you can bet they're preparing for Game 2 like it's literally life or death. For Indiana, these next 40 minutes will be the most important and the way they force the Aces to truly play that night.
I feel good. I mean, our group has seen it all. We wanted to come in and be the aggressor right away to make sure that we were dictating on the defensive end and we were dictating from a pace standpoint. They're champions for a reason. We knew that they were going to make runs. They made a big one in the third and we responded with a big one. I'm proud of our team. It's one game, it's a long series. So, we got to keep the main thing, but to come in here and to be able to steal this one was big for us.
Championship teams respond to losses in a completely different way. And the Aces? They've been here before. They've faced early setbacks in past playoff runs and bounced right back by making lightning-fast adjustments. That right there is their huge advantage. They know how to learn in hours what can take other teams weeks. Trust me, they won't come out flat again. They're going to come out swinging like never before. Aya Wilson especially will be hunting for redemption because she hates being held down. And you can bet Las Vegas will make it a top priority to get her into strong scoring positions right away. Jackie Young, who really struggled against Lexi Hull's smothering defense, will also be looking to get loose on cuts and generate early offense before the Fever defense sets. And guess what? Becky Hammond has now seen exactly what worked for Indiana, which means her team will walk in with a completely different game plan. So, the Fever have to answer one crucial question. Can they handle being the team in control? This is completely new territory for them. Same scorching shooting rhythm. When the defense brings traps and doubles? Can Aaliyah Boston keep Wilson uncomfortable for a second straight game? Or does Wilson...
we've got to keep the main thing, and that is us playing to a standard of basketball that we want to have as an Indiana Fever organization and franchise. We've got to keep our layers, the outside, the people in our building, and the people in our locker room. And the thing I'm just so proud of with this group is it doesn't matter who's on the floor, it doesn't matter who's on our roster. They give each other the freedom to be themselves. They empower one another to be themselves and to be the best version of themselves. And every time we've had a change, every time we've brought someone in, every time we've had rotational changes, they're for each other. They live the we over the me. And when you have that, it just gives you opportunities to do really...
This is exactly where the idea of a true championship moment kicks in. When you're tested after a massive success, do you fold under the pressure or rise up and dominate again? If Indiana finds a way to snatch Game 2, they don't just hold on to momentum. They transform themselves from underdog upset artists into legitimate contenders for the finals. This wasn't some random playoff win. This was Indiana reclaiming its belief, proving that "we over me" isn't just a catchy slogan. It's their undeniable identity on the biggest stage. One fearless night after a decade of waiting showed exactly what this group is capable of. As Coach Stephanie White wisely reminded everyone, we take it one day at a time. We can't look too far ahead because that's when you start to lose focus. Game 2 now stands as far more than just the next challenge. It's the pivotal moment where one incredible upset can blossom into a full-blown finals run. So, can the Fever keep making history? If you're fired up for the Fever, hit that comment section and tell us how proud you are of this team. And make sure to click subscribe and turn on all notifications so you never miss out.